Massive round of applause. You're in the hot seat.
Yes.
Leigh thinks she gets time off for good behaviour now.
Yeah.
She's like, I went first, it's all your go.
This is my homework.
Yes.
So, first of all, before we get started, who really enjoyed the little bit of insight that they got from Leigh? Who thinks we should be shouting the work of Live, Learn, Survive from, I was going to say something really bad then, from the rooftops?
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't agree more. Now, I'm actually going to start off with our very famous lifeguard. And it's been, this summer you told me it's been 17 years as a professional lifeguard, is that right?
Yes,
amazing. So, yes, he started when he was 3. Did I just hear that from someone? And it actually makes sense because my youngest son, who's 21, is obsessed, and I think he has been watching it his whole life. So he will be very upset with us for being here tonight. So what I'd love to know, first of all, is 17 years on the beaches. You are also a firefighter, which we'll also talk about. What is it that you know to be true about the world and about people?
Unfortunately, in the line of work that I do, I see people on their worst possible day. So, little insight today. I come off shift this morning at 6:30 this morning from Bankstown Fire Station. Jumped on a flight up here, and here we are. And the same thing goes when we go into schools. You know, there's a lot of time that I'll be on the beaches for the weekend. Busy couple of days at Bondi, Bronte or Tama, and being at Bankstown, you know, we go into schools, and when I do teach the kids and talk to the kids face to face, I explain and tell them not too many war stories, but a lot of stuff I teach is experiences that I've seen firsthand, me actually doing a rescue or saving someone's life. I know it sounds very cliche, but you know, saving someone's life, I'm exposed to that unfortunately a lot, especially people know Sydney. Bankstown's quite a busy area. There's a lot of lower socioeconomic. We've got some major roads. We've got Bankstown Airport. We've got factories and all sorts of different things. So the reason why I'm out at Bankstown, not so much at Bondi, is for the line of work. So I like to explain to people, Bankstown's like the Bondi in the Fireys, and then I went to work as a lifeguard at Bondi, one of the busiest beaches in Australia, if not the world, for its size. So yeah.
So, quick question, which came first, firefighter or lifeguard?
The chicken or the egg. So I've always wanted to be a firefighter. So a lot of people that know me quite personally, ever since I was 2 years old, I always wanted to be a firey. And I knew at a young age I wasn't academic. I'm not saying like you, Leigh, I was terrible at academics.
This is why we are friends,
Yes.
Maxi.
I was one of those people that knew what they wanted to do at a young age, and I made things happen to be able to achieve that dream. I used life-saving and life-guarding as a stepping stone to get in the fire brigade. So from the age of 18, I applied, and I got knocked back 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Finally got in at 24, and I feel like it took me 6 times, got in my 6th go, and it was a blessing in disguise, really, because if I got in when I was 18, I probably wouldn't have as much life experience, and I would probably take it for granted. The fact I had to work for it and try and really knuckle down and study for it, it's a very competitive job. You know, 12,000 people apply each year, and there's only 100 jobs. So that's for New South Wales. Queensland might be a little bit different, but it was something.
We're always different, darling.
Yeah, I feel like I would never have been fulfilled, and this is like for people in the room. If I never become a firefighter, I wouldn't have been fulfilled with my dream. So I'm very fortunate that I could be a lifeguard, be a firefighter. Well, fireys is his full-time job. Fireys, lifeguarding, and then the beautiful stuff that we do, Live, Learn, Survive. You know, it's good to see and do firsthand and be able to use my knowledge and experience to help save more lives.
Yeah. So nearly every time I walk away from these guys, like they do talk about the fact that they didn't do as well at school the first time around and things like that. But I walk away going, what am I doing with my life? So I think you've more than made up for it. Why do you keep lifeguarding? You got your dream job. Why do you keep lifeguarding?
Well, I like to think I'm only 32, so you know I am getting on a bit, but as I get older, I get more and more. It's weird. I get more and more keen and pumped. And we actually had the busiest summer this recent summer. Today's the last day of summer. At Bondi and Bronte and Tama, we had some horrific weeks. No lives lost. I was involved in one resuscitation where we got the guy back. I responded from Bronte to go help the guys. That was a good little save. But I think one of the days we did about 190 rescues in the 12-hour period. And that's between the 7 or 8 lifeguards. No lives lost. So very busy, very hot. COVID's well and truly, gone, even though Leigh had it a couple of weeks ago. But when I say gone, I mean the crowds are back. Locals, tourists, you name it. Everyone's down there, and all systems go. And I love it.
And you love it.
Yeah, I do love it.
I mean, that's what we all want to say, isn't it? And I love it. When it comes to, because when we sat down and had a conversation a few weeks ago, and we're talking about the fact that it's been a really busy summer, what is it that contributes? I mean, there's the crowds, yes, but why is it that you need 190 rescues in one 12-hour period is insane? Would you not agree? Why does it happen?
Yeah, there's a couple of reasons why it happens. Probably education's one of them. But again, you've got to reset yourself every time. If you get angry and upset at every single person that jumps into a rip, they don't understand what rips are. And being at Bondi, or any beach really, you get a lot of tourists that come to Australia, people don't understand how rips work. So I get so passionate about rip safety and how to educate people and kids what rips do. And basically where I'm going with this is, when people come to Bondi, I've used Bondi as an example, they look for the most calmest, safest part of the beach. They don't understand what the red and yellow flags are. They think red and yellow is danger. So they stay away from the flags, they stay where the waves are in the sandbank, and they swim where the waves aren't breaking, and deeper water, it looks calm and inviting. And all too often, I could sit at a rip, Backpackers Rip, famous rip, Bondi, and it's like clockwork. They'll see you rescue people all day, and people will still go, oh, it's not going to happen to me. And they just jump in, and they just get sucked out. And I dead set scene, like if you hand someone a cup of tea, they'll drown in it. Like there's some really bad swimmers out there, and we're there to help people. And there's a few of the guys over the years. I've been there 17 years, and a few of the guys have retired in the past. A few of the guys, anyone that does know Bondi Rescue, H-Man used to get quite cranky. H-Man used to get cranky. He's bless him, he's retired now, but he used to get fired up. And one day I was sitting at the rip, and there's people, and one of the guys I was with was getting so angry and upset, and so like, they just don't effing listen. And I go, but they don't know. They don't know that we just pulled 50 people out of this rip. They don't understand. So you kind of have to reset yourself every time you do a rescue, really.
Yeah. So
a lot of the work as a lifeguard is prevention, and trying to educate as many people as possible, and then it all kind of comes back from there.
I think it's really interesting as someone who grew up in Australia and on the beaches that, it doesn't cross my mind that people would see red and yellow flags and think that means danger. But the minute you told me that, I was like, that makes so much sense. What else is it that we take for granted when we have grown up with the beach culture that contributes to the work that you need to do?
Yeah, well, like I said, some people do know, a lot of Aussies do know what the red and yellow flags are. But we all do love to travel up and down the coast, and especially with COVID, people were trying to get away from the crowds, going to a place where they'll socially distance. And what we found a couple of years ago, or last year or 2 years ago, a lot of people were swimming in unpatrolled areas. And a lot of the time people think that they know where to swim and what to do, and if you get stuck in a rip, you just float, or you let it, you swim to the left or the right. But unfortunately, rips move in all different shapes and sizes. And a lot of people think it's never going to happen to me, like what Leigh was saying in a speech. A lot of people don't think that tragedies or those things are going to happen to them. And that's about the water stuff. But as a firefighter, I see car accidents. I see people with no working smoke alarms. I see people drop at a family barbecue and not know how to do CPR, and standing watching their uncle pretty much pass away when you get there 10, 15 minutes later and no CPR's been done. And that's a true story. Boxing Day last year, it happens. And unfortunately, the last couple of weeks I've had a bit of a spate of some bad jobs. And
it's been a big couple of weeks.
And it just fires me up even more, because I know, I see it firsthand. I know that these things, sometimes accidents do happen, But if you move with the process of trying to explain to people what to do on the worst possible day, to kind of reset them, keep them know what to do if a situation was to arise, and have the resilience to be able to reset the clock and be good for the next day, to be able to look after themselves and help others.
I think that's incredible. One of the things I would really like to understand, and that fascinates me, is you talk about this, and most of the programs we know are for adults. Why the focus on young children for this program?
Yeah, well, 2 years old, I wanted to be a firefighter. I used to run down the end of the street every time I heard sirens. I used to sleep with my uncle's fire gear under the bed and garden hose, ready for that fire.
The big one.
The big one. That's probably my ADD and maybe a little bit of, things going on there. But I was always... I used to run around the school playground doing the siren noises and stuff. But yeah, it's let's not talk about that. But I know kids absorb a lot of stuff, and especially if they want to learn stuff. And the stuff that I got taught as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, I still remember today. And Leigh was saying in the speech, when sometimes with the adult, you set in your ways, you think things aren't going to happen, or you go, I used to go camping at that one spot down the south coast, and I was all right, I survived. But then every beach is different, every river, lake, dam's different, every pool's different, situation you could find yourself is different. So kids absorb a lot, and if we can get in early to be able to educate them to be prepared for their worst possible day, we know it works. We spoke to 30,000 people all around the world, and we're kind of dialing it back now where we're focused on Australia and even more so Queensland. We've got to start somewhere, and we really want to work in our own backyard.
Yeah. Amazing. Somebody did slip in a New South Wales school, not looking at anyone I know. But the focus is absolutely Queensland, and also wherever you can take the program. One of the comments that you said to me in one of our conversations recently was that you talk about the line between someone living and dying. Can you share a bit more about that?
Sorry?
You talked about the line between someone living and dying.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit more about what you mean about that? Because you're quite passionate about it.
Yeah, so a lot of the jobs that I do go to, not all, there's some accidents that do happen that are unpreventable. But there's been times I was saying that resuscitation. The last couple of weeks I've been involved with a lot of medical emergencies where people have been bleeding out. There's been situations where no defib's been applied. I pulled a guy out of a house a couple of months ago that unfortunately succumbed to smoke. A lot of the time people don't realise having a working smoke alarm is what's going to save your life. At 2 o'clock in the morning, when the smoke creeps into your room, when you're sound asleep, smoke actually puts you more to sleep. So when you don't have a working smoke alarm in your hallway or outside your bedroom, nothing to alert you, you actually get to succumb to the smoke, and 9 times out of 10 what kills you is the smoke. And in this case I found the guy in the ensuite of a bathroom. He was trying to survive. Unfortunately, we tried our best to get him out of the house and work on him. We shocked him twice, but unfortunately he passed. And then weirdly, about 3 months later, 2 kids randomly come to the fire station, knocked on the door and asked if we can sign a stat deck for one of the kids that there was a deaf in the family, to be able to sign the stat deck for him to get marks for his HSC, not realising that we're all the crew that pulled their dad out of the house. So talking about triggering moments where if that was something that was really triggering for us as a crew, which it was quite sad. Knowing that he got out of the house and went back in, and he actually got trapped in there and he died in the ensuite. We brought him in, put him in the kettle, had a chat, and you could tell they were quite distressed and upset. They didn't know how he died, what he looked like, what had happened. They had no closure. So talking about a full 360 or 180 or whatever you want to say, we gave them the closure that they needed and they wanted. And we're very fortunate to be able to do that. So sometimes the more horrific, tragic stories do have not a good ending, but a positive ending to be able to bring closure to some people.
Yeah, absolutely. So to move a little bit from that, Leigh spoke about...
Sorry, a bit going on. There's a lot of stories.
There's so much going on.
Anyway.
It's like, well, you are in Bankstown. Let's face it.
There's a lot going on.
Not to label any places, but it's a big world that you live in, right? Between Bondi Rescue, lifeguarding, because Bondi Rescue is actually he's a professional lifeguard. It's not just television. The firefighting, the work you do with these guys. But on the good side of it, Leigh spoke about some of the kids that really stand out for her from Live, Learn, Survive. Have you got any of those sorts of stories to share? Who stands out for you?
Yeah, well, pretty much all the stories that you spoke about definitely stand.
You're not allowed to say did her.
No. No, I think every school that we see, there's always that special people that we meet and we hear their story, and they're really fortunate to be able to learn some of the stuff that we've taught them, and they've kept in touch. We're actually really good at that, keeping in touch.
Yeah, very good. It's particularly with social media, what I think, there's kids, we get messages from kids that are on the other side of the world, and it's, and I know they're troubled, and their parents probably are in the same house and have got no idea they're reaching out to us. And that's why, we do, we're known water, fire, first aid, but that's why there's a heart on the top of our badge. It's look after yourself, it's self-care. Yeah. And it's like, I just think, there's so many kids, they just want to be heard.
Yeah. I think one of the more special ones, he can't make it tonight, Cam.
Oh, Cam.
I feel like Cam has been a part of the Live, Learn, Survive journey pretty much from the start.
Yeah.
And Cam is unfortunately, he's quite sick at the moment.
He's in hospital, he's in the PA.
So he's trying to be on the mend. He was going to be here tonight, but unfortunately not. But we've tried to keep in touch with Cam. And just the other night, I was on the back of a fire truck, and we get a message from Cam and his mum saying, because he's non-verbal, can't speak. Mum reached out and said that Cam's not doing too well. He won't be able to make it tonight, but can you send him a message of liven up his spirits? So what I did, I was in the back of the fire truck, and I got myself to say, reached out to him. I got Maddie, who was in the back with me, and we all put the sirens and lights on, and we kind of made it a bit of a thing to kind of liven him up and give him a bit of a fighting spirit. So it's not just the education, it's actually having a good rapport with them to be able to...
So the story with Cam was it Starlight Foundation wish that, spending a day as a Bondi lifeguard with Maxi. So that's how we met. And then he actually is from Brisbane. So he was flown down to Sydney for that experience. Then Nick, his mum, has constantly given us updates of how he's going and things. And then we had the book launch. So of course we had, I was not the wingman that day. Cam was in the Dimmock's book signing in the city store. So Cam was on hand. So that was that. And then we had the high tea, and we're the only people that would try and do a high tea via Zoom. So the high tea was in Brisbane, but with the borders, we didn't see each other for like 7 months, never mind about trying to run a charity or a business. So Maxi was on via Zoom, and we picked the hotel with the worst Wi-Fi in Queensland. The Courthouse Hotel, right on the edge of Cleveland, like literally drop it, like the stress level beyond. But Cam was at the high tea, and Cam drew the raffle that day, so Cam was in the room. And of course, we're going to be here tonight, and obviously Cam would have been, probably sat here, but he's in hospital. So we know he's with us in spirit, and he's a good lad.
I honestly, I think there's no word of a lie. I think there's thousands of stories I could sit here and talk to you guys all night about, of different impacts and different things. And from day to day, as lifeguard and firefighter, and then doing the Live, Learn, Survive stuff, I think there is thousands of stories, and there's going to be 1,000 more. But I think sometimes we are silent achievers. Like we don't really like to stick our heads up too high. We just kind of just get the job done. Like I said, I love 3 hats that I wear. I love being on the beaches. I'm actually working back at Bondi on Sunday. I'm back at the fire station Monday, and probably doing a school talk or a meeting on Tuesday.
Yeah,
so
we've got a school coming up that, like, this is what amazes me, in Nepal. Because It is an Aussie that has found herself teaching in this school. It's got kids with no aquatic ability that are starting to travel. And, you know, of course we're going to be there. So we will be on a Zoom and you know, then we can, you know, put a little pin in Nepal on our map in our quest for taking over the world.
World domination. So one of the things that I would like to know from both of you, and I'll go to you firstly, is when you think about all of those thousands of stories, and there are thousands of stories, what is it that keeps you going? Think about all of those faces and all of those outcomes and all of those impacts. What is it that keeps you going?
Because you just know you're making a difference. Because a lot of like I say, people quite often or sometimes they're not coming to us because they're having their best day. They're looking for something. They're looking to belong to something. And you just know you're making a difference. You know, these people will probably be kids that will remember their experience, remember how they were made feel, will then go and treat people the same to make sure they feel people okay. And then these are the kids that are going to be the leaders in the community. And in the same way, you know, like I said about Meg's here, she's been putting the jigsaws together. I don't know where she is. Here she is, like Meg, you know. When we first went on that sunrise swim, you know, Meg was, you know, just a swimmer. That, you know.
What about Emily in South Shields in
Emily,
the UK?
We met Emily on the beach in South Shields. We turned up as quite achievers. They couldn't believe just Maxi and I turned up in the car. I won't say how Maxi drove that trip. That's for a whole nother talk.
We've got plenty of time in an open bar.
And I would not even do that to him tonight because it's just not fair, Maxi. So we turned up at South Shields and we got on like a house on fire. Look at these two laughing. We got on like a house on fire with this club. We've been now back 3 times. Maxi and I are actually ambassadors for this club in South Shields. Emily, we met on that beach as a very shy girl, which I think was probably 5 years ago. Now Emily is lifeguarding at one of our theme parks at Wet n Wild.
But even then, another special guest here, Rob from Polska, Poland.
Yes,
At
Rob.
the back there, Rob in the black shirt. So Rob, we met Rob a couple of years ago. He is doing similar stuff to what we're doing over in the Baltic area of Europe. So it's really good to have Rob in the room as well.
So the Baltic lifeguards. So and we would never have met Rob if there hadn't have been a pandemic. So.
Oh, silver linings everywhere. I'm going to actually just for a moment, I just want to, you know, Leigh, I'm going to ask you this. Is it really this simple to change outcomes for kids?
Well, it's hard doing it, but like actually when you get into the room, oh my God, it's so easy. Maxi will always say, if kids know danger, response and send for help, they can be 5 years old and they could potentially save a life. And depending on the age of the kids, don't overload them. If that's the only little bit that they can remember, they can be a little superhero.
And that's the beauty of it. The program that we do for the hour, we talk about water safety. It's not just the coast. You know, more people drown inland than they do on the coast in Australia. And a lot of people don't realise that. They think it's always, which, you know, beach safety is quite important, and I am a lifeguard on the beach. But, you know, the poor kids that do drown in the rivers, lakes, dams, watering holes, creeks, you never hear about. We talk, when we do rural schools, we talk about the hidden dangers there. We talk about location. We talk about resuscitation of knowing the first 3 things. Danger response, sent for help. We talk about the fire safety aspect of it, which I'm very passionate about because I've been firsthand pulling people out of homes that have not had working smoke alarms and or had working smoke alarms but gone back inside to go do rescue or grab things in there. You know, understanding fire science as well. And I always find that in a whole group of people, there'll be that one kid up the back that would have probably been me with ADD, can't sit still, buzzing around, and they're the whole time they're sitting there watching, they're learning, and you know that the water stuff they don't care about the water stuff, but when you start talking about the fire stuff, or if it's the fire stuff, they're not really interested in, but they were interested in the water stuff. And then when you actually get them involved in the resuscitation and actually using a throw line and a rescue tube and life-saving equipment and going, hang on, I don't have to look at these lifeguards or firefighters or police or ambulance or people they look up to on TV or in movies or whatever. Having this backpack, I can do this as well. And I think that's the thing that we're trying to get over the line, is the kids can realise and back themselves and be able to not only save themselves but help others too. And it's very important for kids to know those life skills, because I wish I had that opportunity to learn that stuff when I was at school, of how much I knew that I wanted to help the community at such a young age as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, not everyone in a room is going to understand it, but you might get 1 or 2 or 10 or 15 or 1,000 kids in that one school that might go, hang on, I could do this and help and save lives, and it only takes one.
The thing that I love about this is we actually were privileged in at Parliament to see you just step in. Some kids came, they were on a tour of Parliament House, and they stood at the door of the Speaker's room, not coming in because they didn't think they were allowed to. And you saw them at the door, called them over, and within 5 minutes we were watching you teach them how to use throw ropes and floating devices, and just the way they lit up and leaned into it, it was just pure evidence unfolding in front of us of just how easy it is to teach these kids. It was nearly magical to watch. So as we start to wrap out the conversation, and I'm going to throw in an extra question actually at the end, Leigh, why should we support creating little superheroes, and why should we tell everyone about it?
Because I think these are just like real simple skills that when kids feel that they know how to do this, that they're empowered, that in itself builds confidence. Kids need to feel that they can look after themselves and be in control. So they're learning simple things, and it builds their confidence. And they can go into a situation and they know what to do. And it can be the simplest of things. It's like there's so many things that they can take away, but if they only take away one, and the magic kid for me, and it happens so many times, all the kids clear the lounge, the bell goes, everyone herds out, we're packing away the toolkit and the toys, and the little kid just comes back into the room and he's got the question. And I think he's the kid. He wasn't brave enough to put his hand up in front of everyone. He wasn't brave enough but he was brave enough to come and talk to Maxi on his own. And I think I love that, because that would have been me.
Maxi, the same question for you.
Yeah, I think we've survived this far after 9 years of just literally selling $5 paper.
$5 books.
$5 books, just to try and get the message out there, to try and get as many people in a room or a school or a supported community. But the fact that we can have you guys here tonight, which is a big thank you for making the effort to come tonight. It's definitely put a big smile on Leigh's face and
absolutely
and mine.
Oh no, that's because she's finished a speech and
Yeah,
she wants a
and
drink.
that too, yeah.
But you know, with the question you asked before, I think for what we want is people to be able to tell people about it, be able to support us if they can, and you know, we are getting to that next level where we really do need help, because we know what we're doing is right and what it works, but we just need help.
And that makes it sustainable. And if it's sustainable, then more kids benefit. It's not just 30,000, it's 300,000, and it's, you know, there's things we want to develop that have only been held back because we just haven't had funds to develop them, and then that will be able to impact kids. And now with technology and the things that we learnt about working remotely over the last 2 years, using that as a positive with some of the ideas for the future, we can impact every kid in Australia.
We know what works, and we can give people opportunity to kind of grow with us. And you know, I like to think we're a new and upcoming charity, and can be trying to educate and empower and change the world one child at a time. And the fact that we've come thus far, it's very exciting. But there's plenty more work to do. And you know, as we talk every hour, every day, you know, people are still drowning across the world. So
yeah, exactly. And you know what? More drownings again. I looked at the figures in Australia, 94 yesterday. So 94 drownings throughout since the 1st of December. So that's one a day. It's not getting any better. 10 years on, it's not getting any better. And we're a changing demographic. There's people coming that are from landlocked countries, parents that can't swim, that are fearful of taking kids around water, and when things go wrong, they just don't know what to do.
I still find it astonishing, I'm going to say it again, that you got to 30,000 children across 20-something countries, there's hundreds of schools. Like I can't even remember all the numbers now. I think it's extraordinary that you did most of that in the last 9 years before anyone really knows about you, right?
Okay.
Talk about being famous in the biggest lunchbox on the planet, right? So I would love to encourage, we're going to wrap up in a moment just for about 10 minutes, and the reason we're going to do that is just in case anyone wants to increase their bid on the silent auction. And then we're actually also got, like there's a school there with just one bit left to go. I think somebody somewhere, some in this room can grab that last bit for that school so we can get that locked away. Then we're going to come back and we're going to draw the prizes. We're going to talk about the tally. We're going to add it all up. We're going to celebrate like mad. But before I send you to break, just for 10 minutes, so this time I'm going to find someone who can wolf whistle on the microphone. I'm going to send you on a break for 10 minutes. We'll come back to do all of that. But before we go, what I'd love to know is what is one thing that all of us in this room can do for the little superheroes in our own world? Because it takes a village to raise our children. So it's not just about whether we've got children at home or we're around children. What is it that we can do? What's one simple thing we can all do?
Yeah, I'll cheat a bit and say there's a couple of different things, but when it comes to water safety...
So you're taking Leigh's spot?
Yes, yeah. So water safety, make sure you try and swim patrol beaches. If you don't, try to assess the situation, at least watch the water for at least 5-10 minutes before you do. If you're not a strong, confident swimmer, I highly recommend you do not go swimming. So teach your kids, talk to people within your family about that. If you see someone in trouble, do not rush in that situation without a flotation device. Far too often we hear rescuers drown as well, and which is very tragic. You go and think you're doing the right thing, and then you become the victim, and the person that went out in the rip, they end up coming on the sandbank and getting washed in. Same thing goes for rivers, lakes, dams, Make sure you know the hidden dangers around rivers, especially a lot of rainfall, water moves down. When it comes to first aid, if someone's bleeding out or someone's bleeding, get pressure on that wound as quickly as possible. Stop that blood loss, okay? If someone's unconscious, not breathing, go through the motions. Danger, response, send for help, airway, breathing, compressions, defibrillation. If you don't want to do any of that sort of stuff, just go down to your local fire station, shopping centre, try and locate where your AEDs are, the defibs, because they do save lives, defibs. Just a quick story, I know we're short on time.
We're all up for stories.
Classic example, about 4 months ago, one of my really good mates is a firefighter, had a night shift. We got a call that next morning before we change a shift. Bells go off, assist ambulance. Chester Hill Fire Station, wow, that's a bit weird. I remember my peers, one of the colleagues yelling out, firefighter down, firefighter down, firefighter down, which is the worst thing you ever want to hear, right? So what happened, one of my mates, he's only 29, I was at a fire station with him in the city of Sydney, felt a bit uneasy, got out of bed, dropped, had a heart attack, okay? The guys heard the thud, his crew, mind you, it was about 6:20 in the morning, just about to change over. One of the guys heard the thud. It was luckily that the floors were quite,
Flimsy.
Flimsy. Shit, yeah. Yeah, you said it first. And the guys heard the thud and they ran up, unconscious, not breathing, out. Brown bread, as they say, okay? One of the guys yelled out to get everyone else up, ran down to the fire truck. Every fire truck, I'm sure it's the same in Queensland, has an AED, defib. Ran down, ran back upstairs, placed the defibrillator on Boyko, shocked him twice, and he's alive today. So, where I'm going with this story is he was clinically dead for 4 to 5 minutes. The AED report showed that his heart was spasming. It was in, not a systole, but it was in VF. And those two shocks directly saved his life. Good compressions and that shock. So I know fire station firefighters are trained in first aid, but seeing someone unconscious, not breathing, you know straight away. If you know your workplace has a defib, you work at a school, you know there's one at the office, go get it, bring it. It does work and it does save mates, it saves family. Please know where your defibs are, okay? And last thing, smoke alarms. Have a working smoke alarm and understand there's different types of fires. You know, far too often we go to a lot of fires that are involved in the kitchen. Oil, fat fire, people place water on oil and fat fires, bang. So just know fire science, understand how fires work, and know how to use a fire extinguisher and have a working smoke alarm. That's it.
Are you sure?
Talk forever.
Actual words from Maxi a few weeks ago was, I'm not sure how I'll go speaking at the front of the room.
Yeah. Keep talking, unfortunately.
Yeah. On that note, can we actually just give a massive round of applause for these guys for being at the front of the room?
What a team. Maxi, high five.
So,
you left me hanging.
So 10 minutes to go to the bar, get a drink. Do not gather outside. Gather your drinks and move back into the room. Find your final bids on the silent auction items. Grab your last jigsaw piece puzzles, and I'll see you back here in 10 minutes and we'll draw all the things and talk all the money.